Well, hello and welcome to my world. Welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick. You know, everybody needs a little TLC, and I am Cedrick LaFleur, your host. I'm so excited to be here with you today. You know, Talk Leadership with Cedrick is where we focus on leadership and personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Our goal, as always, is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. You know, our guiding leadership principle is the law of contribution, which says growing yourself enables you to grow others. See, you can't give what you don't have. So first, you must grow yourself in order to grow others. Now, we believe that outstanding leaders like yourself will help us to help others. So tonight, folks, we have another dynamic leader in-house with us tonight. Now, you know, every week, I like to do a proper introduction of my guests. So let me do a proper introduction. We have Miss Paula Patterson to the show. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let me give you a little background on Miss Patterson. So Paula Patterson is the proud superintendent of schools at Crosby Independent School District. She has returned to her hometown for the third time to serve her community in the highest level of district leadership. Ms. Patterson served the Crosby Barrett Station communities previously as a teacher and as a principal. She also worked in LaPorte ISD, Galena Park ISD, and Sheldon ISD in various administrative roles. So let me tell you what, folks, that means she has some skills. All right. Ms. Patterson holds a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Houston, Clear Lake. She also received her bachelor's degree from Southwest Texas State University, currently known as Texas State University in Mass Communication and Broadcasting. She is married to Cedrick Patterson Jr. and has two sons, Cedrick III, a graduate student athlete at Rice University, and Jeremiah Patterson, who is a sophomore at Texas State University. So continuing the legacy of educational excellence in her family. So again, welcome to the show. I'm excited that you're here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to talk leadership and the great things that are happening in Crosby ISD.
Well, that is awesome. You know, everything rises and falls on leadership. And what I wanted to do is to start off by telling you, giving our audience a little taste of your journey into leadership and how did you get to where you are today?
So really my journey was like 40 plus years in the making, and I'm saying 40 plus because I won't say exactly how old I am. Okay, so 40 plus years in the making. I was that little bossy girl growing up. And now we know that the bossiness of little girls really is leadership in the making. And to be honest, my mom saw that, and she always would tell me, you're going to be a great adult, and I'm not going to have any problems about people taking advantage of you. But right now, I need you to kind of, settle it down and be a little girl. But I was that bossy girl. So it was always kind of in me. In school in Crosby, I had those leadership positions. I was on student council. I was the senior class president, voted most likely to succeed. Like that's what I've always been drawn to. So really it was kind of in me, but in my educational journey, how I got to leadership, I was a teacher, and then I moved into assistant principal, director of professional development, assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, chief academic officer, and finally I ended, before my superintendency, I was deputy superintendent of academics. And so I held quite a few leadership positions in education, and I truly learned valuable lessons at each stage. And all of that, as you mentioned before, was in 4 different districts in Region 4.
Wow. So you have been busy in those 10 years since high school.
I love it.
Yes. So you're the new superintendent at Crosby ISD. Now, why was, I know that your home is one reason, but why was Crosby ISD the right place for you to be superintendent?
There truly is no place like home. I love Crosby ISD more than anything in the world. It is home. And so the love you have for home is the love I have for my district because it is home. Crosby is a wonderful place to live, to educate your children. I'll say, we talked about I've been around, right, in the 10 years, but in that and in, the 4 districts, Crosby was one of the 4. And while I was serving in the other 3 districts, I remained a resident in Crosby because I loved it here. And that was a choice. I didn't have to stay here. I also chose to raise my 2 sons. I chose to raise my boys here, and they're Crosby High School alumni. So Crosby is a choice for me because it's home and it truly is the best place for me. I think it's the best place in the world. And I really am excited about telling the world how great Crosby ISD really is.
Wow, well, that is awesome. Well, I can tell you that I agree with you that there's no place like home. So we were talking before the show that I go home and do some things in schools, and being in Lake Charles is just like I just love it every time I go. Right now, I love living in Houston, but it's no place like home.
Yes. Yes.
So what are some exciting things that you're looking forward to with this upcoming school year?
I am looking forward to the sounds of kids laughing, kids playing, the ruckus that sometimes in a school building, you're like, hey, y'all calm down. I'm looking forward to that. Kids everywhere. I'm also looking forward to the sound of engaged learning. We say in education, it's called controlled chaos, where you walk into a room and it's noisy, it's loud, kids are talking, but when you really pay attention, they're engaged in learning, they're talking about their learning, they're discovering and experiencing things. That's what I look forward to. Although many of our kids were back this past year, especially toward the end of the year, the second semester and toward the end, we had a large percentage who returned back to the classrooms, but we're living, kind of the separate, stay apart. And I'm really looking forward to having a little more engagement and interaction.
Sure. Yeah. And so are you guys going to be 100% in person this year?
We are.
Awesome.
We're opening the doors and welcoming all 100% of our kids back to the building.
Well, that is awesome. I know that parents love their kids, right? But they love their kids when they're at school.
And you know what? And we love our kids when they're at school. We want them to be with us. That's why we're in this field of education. We love the kids, and they're what makes it fun, right? And that's why we're in it, is for the kids. So we want our kids.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So when you were growing up, and I know you said you were the leader, right? Did you ever imagine, though, that you would be leading not just any school district, but the school district that you were growing up in?
Absolutely not. Not only did I ever imagine leading the district, I never imagined being a teacher. This was not my profession. I wasn't that kind that's like, oh, I always said I wanted to be a teacher. That was not me. I was going to be a news anchor. And, you read off my bio, my first degree is in mass communication broadcasting. And that, I was going to be a local celebrity. I was going to be on the nightly news. You guys were going to be tuning in and I was going to be telling the news. So no, I was not going to be in education. Now, God had different plans for me, and I am where I'm supposed to be. I did work 4 years in broadcast, in news media, and I felt the call to education, and I have never looked back.
Well, that's phenomenal. It's amazing how when you're growing up, you think, oh man, I'm going to do these things. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to, maybe some people want to move to New York and broadcast and there. And then all of a sudden you say, you know what? I don't think I really want to do this. When life starts coming your way. And well, that's good. That's awesome that you're doing the stuff that you want to do now. So, a lot of times people struggle to find things that keep themselves motivated, right? So how do you plan to keep your team motivated despite different obstacles or conflicts?
So I'll say, I've been in leadership and education for a minute now, but nothing taught me that lesson more than COVID-19, the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And it was during that time where we had to recreate education and what it looked like. We still had the same purpose, but the how was completely different. And so it was really last year when I truly came to a point in leadership where I can step back and say, I have that leadership skill. And that is three things: focus on the things you can control, focus on the positive, and focus on the strengths of the team, because the strengths of the team will overcome the weaknesses.
Mhm.
Because the beauty of a team is that everyone has different strengths, right? And so whatever you are in need of, someone probably has it on your team. So look past their weakness and use that strength that you need. And their weakness can be overcome by somebody else's strength. That's the beauty of a team.
Yeah.
And so it's really focusing on those three things and keeping a laser-like focus on the job at hand. Teach students, right? Make sure students are learning. How do we do that? That laser-like focus on education and making sure our students are learning. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Wow, I absolutely love that. So folks, whether you're in Crosby ISD or not, you're in any other school district, let me tell you what, here's what she said. Focus, focus, focus. Focus on the things you can control, focus on the positive, and also focus on the strengths of the team. You see, when you have a leader, when I said earlier that everything rises and falls on leadership, when you have a leader that's helping you be crystal clear on what you should look at this year and pay attention to, that's the type of leader that you know is going to make changes make positive changes in an organization. Awesome. I love that response. So, well, you don't know, but on LinkedIn, I kind of stalk you a little bit to just see what you post. Okay. Because you post really positive, inspirational messages, either text or video every day. Not some days, not most days, not every other day, but every day. And I really like that. But so why, that's always adding value to people. So why is it so important to you to add value to other people?
So that is my calling right now. I wouldn't say a year and a half ago, I wouldn't say I was like a, super positive person or, a motivating person on a daily basis. But again, I can't stress enough how transformed I was during COVID. I learned so many lessons and I grew as a person and also as a leader. And what I found during that time was that the positivity is what was going to get us through, and the other three things that I talked about focusing on. And what I realized, there were two book clubs that I did during COVID. One was on Joyce Meyer's Do It Afraid.
Oh, yeah.
And the second was also a Joyce Meyer's book, and it was on the battlefield of the mind. And doing those two book clubs, and it was all virtual because it was during COVID, I realized we stand in our own way. So we know what can happen. We even know what God can do through us, but we stand in the way because we lack the confidence, because we tell ourselves many, many lies. We tell ourselves we can't do it. I'm not worthy. That's too hard. I don't have it in me, but we do. And so those messages each day are just to uplift people and build you up and build the confidence. And what I used to say on my videos, and you're saying I post every day, and I do, but you notice those videos stopped once I became superintendent because I can't do all that. But what I can do is do a quick post while I'm on the treadmill. And that's what's happened. I'm on the treadmill in the morning. I'm looking for a message that really speaks to me. And then I post it. And so that's where it comes from. But it really is about, and in the videos, I used to say, remember, someone out there in the world is waiting on you to live out your purpose.
Mhm.
Imagine if every single person fulfilled their purpose.
Yes.
How powerful of a nation would we be? How powerful of a world would we be? How many things could we accomplish if we all had the confidence to
Yes.
walk in our purpose and what we were birthed to do? And so that's just kind of been my thing since COVID. Guys, there is so much in each of us. Let's dig deep and fight through whatever may stand in the way, which many times it's us. Let's fight ourselves, right, to overcome that and build each other up. And I'll tell you, and people have talked about the positive post and the inspiration, and I want you guys to know that I'm speaking to myself as well. And it keeps me in check.
Sure. Yeah.
If I'm going throughout my day and some things are happening and I want to get frustrated, I'm reminded of what I posted.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so that keeps me in, okay, this is what I said. I have to live up to that as well. So it also is accountability for me as well, and keeps me focused on the right thing.
Right things. Yes, absolutely. I absolutely love it. And the reason why now I don't literally stalk you, but the reason why I like that when I see people post things that are positive, motivational, inspirational, adding value to other people, that intrigues me, because I try to do that type thing myself. But you're right. A lot of times it's more talking to yourself than talking to other people. It just so happens the byproduct of it is it helps and benefits other people, right? So keep that up. I hope you don't get too busy in Crosby, that you don't keep that up, because it's helping a lot of people. So, leaders come in all different types of packages with different types of strengths, right? So from your perspective, tell us, 2 or 3 strengths that you think that all leaders should possess.
I think number 1 is communication. Your team is not going to function the way it should without communication. Everyone understanding the vision, right? The vision, make it plain so that they can run with it, right? In an organization, the vision starts at the top, but the top can't run it through the organization. Right. So you have the vision at the top, but you have to have the communication skills in order to run it through and for it to go all the way through the organization and to kind of take a life of its own. I would also say the ability to motivate. Again, and I've been saying since I've been in Crosby ISD, I can't do anything on my own. It's not about what Paula Patterson is going to do in Crosby ISD. It's what Crosby ISD and the Crosby Barrett communities are going to do in Crosby ISD, because I can't do it alone. I'm not teaching second graders. Right. I'm not teaching physics, and they don't want me to. So it's and I say education is a team sport. Like, we all play a role. And so the communication and the motivation for everyone to play their role well, I think is what it takes to be a successful leader.
Wow. I like those. So she said leader strengths. Number 1 is effective communication. Number 2, the ability to motivate and inspire, encourage, empower someone else. And especially if you're in education, you are talking to students, people who they're sponges. So you can inspire and motivate people in 2 different ways. And you want to try to do it in that positive way. You don't want to encourage or empower them in a negative way. And so every day walking in a building, every day when you see a student, I'm talking to the teachers out there in the world, every day when you see a student, they're looking to you for what their mindset should be or could be that day. So I absolutely love that. So we have some people here who are putting some comments in here. Shonda Richard says, thank you very much, Superintendent, for your powerful words. So we're excited there. So good leaders ask great questions. What are a couple of questions that either you ask or you've heard asked and you thought, man, those are some great questions?
So I don't have specific questions, but I will say the questions stem, because I'm an educator. So the question stem is one word, and it's why. To ask constant, repeatedly why questions drills all the way down to the foundation of why we are doing X, Y, and Z. And you will come to two conclusions, one of two conclusions. One, if you can go drill all the way down to that foundational root cause of the why, then you have identified the problem and the solution, right?
Mhm.
Or you realize I don't have an answer, so we probably shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Because many times, well, I shouldn't say many, but sometimes we do things just because we've always done it. Doesn't mean it's effective. So if I ask so many why questions and you get to a point where you can't answer it, then we have to think about why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So I like why questions and just drilling down why to get to the root foundation of why we are doing this and is it effective?
Yes. And who are the best at asking those type questions? 7-year-old kids.
Yes.
As we get older, we tend to lose that ability to
Yes.
ask those type questions.
Yes.
But the 7-year-olds, they get it. And, sometimes we don't want them to get that, but.
And we should learn from them because we can learn from anyone. We should be able to learn from anyone.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So Verone Thomas says, cool, Barrett Station is his hometown. So he's encouraging to know that their students are in good hands. So awesome. Thanks, Verone, for commenting. So, coronavirus affected everybody. And if we go back to December of 2019, right? And say, hey, Ms. Patterson, not only your hometown, not only your city, not only your state, but these United States, and in fact, the whole world would be shut down. You think, put this man in the loony bin somewhere, right? You wouldn't be thinking that anyone would be saying this, and it would never, ever happen. So now we know that, boom, it can happen. And it did happen to us. How is Crosby ISD prepared now to handle any leftover challenges from everything that coronavirus hit us with?
So first of all, I want to say kudos to every educator in the world. As you said, this was a worldwide pandemic. This affected everyone in the world. And educators, as we always do, overcame it. Did we get it right every time? No, we didn't, because we were in a pandemic and we didn't know what we were doing. But at the end of the day, our students were learning, maybe not at the pace they had before, but they were learning some really good life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
They were learning to be flexible. They were learning that life is not always, every day is not going to be as I expect it to be. And so they continued to learn, just maybe not what we would have wanted them to learn, but there were some lessons in it. So first of all, I want to say kudos to every educator for continuing the learning during the worldwide pandemic.
Yeah.
Second of all, because I love Crosby ISD so much, I want to say kudos to Crosby ISD because they did a phenomenal job during COVID. When looking at, and everything is not student achievement, but in our great state of Texas, a lot is student achievement. So when you look at our student achievement during the year, our students did a great job. They really did. And the data that we have, they did better than expected and better than many surrounding districts. And so our teachers did a phenomenal job. Our principals, our campus leaders and staff did an awesome job of rebounding. And I'll tell you, in Crosby ISD, that's what we're about. We're fighters, we're survivors, and we thrive. So when we looked at student performance and, people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I wasn't even here most of the year, but my response was, I'm not surprised because I know Crosby ISD. And we've been through some tough times and we bounce back every single time. And we make sure our kids don't suffer because of things that are going on. And so how will we handle the leftover challenges? What we always do. Step up to the plate, find out what they need, and provide for them what they need, every single student.
Well, that is phenomenal. That's awesome. And I know that the reassurance, right, from you to parents and to students and even to teachers is important during this process. And let's pray that we never have to go through this again in our lifetime. But it's one of those things that we just learn how to bounce back from and be resilient and keep going. So we have some more comments coming in here. Miss Eloina Woods is from, well, she lives in Lake Charles now, but she says she went to school in Crosby ISD. Mr. Dave Dijon says, I love how you're looking at the positive aspects of what students were able to achieve. I think they're going to be, they're going to need this. So this is awesome. So, you know, what's one thing that you wish that you knew now? Let me rephrase how I'm going to ask this question. What's the one thing that you know now that you wish you had known when you got started? Let's say started in your educational journey, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will have to honestly answer that with, I did not realize how challenging education is. There's an art to teaching. And I don't know that I understood that when I first started. Teaching was natural for me, so I didn't struggle. But when I really started digging into education and how the brain works and how children learn, it's much more challenging than the outside view that you just stand up and talk to kids, right? And so I think that would be my answer, is that it's challenging. Now, it is challenging, but it's also so very worth it. But I think back then I didn't realize how challenging and how much of a skill it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell people I envy educators because, I couldn't do it. It's a lot of work that goes into it. And there's a lot of work in every career, right? But there's also the challenge of trying to impact 30 different students in the classroom who all have different personalities, different learning styles, different skills, different abilities, and you're charged with leading that group of students. Awesome. So students are going to be in person this coming year. Do you think there's going to be any challenges to the learning experience this coming year that maybe like the last 18, 24 months, different from the last 18 and 24 months?
I actually think this is going to be kind of a breath of fresh air because we have our students back. Right. And this is what we're accustomed to doing. Students in front of us, we're engaging them and we're teaching. So I really think this year is going to be not as challenging as last year. Last year, the challenge was we have to redo education. This year, it's going back to what we know and just kind of digging deeper, finding things that work. You know, there's some COVID loss. And so it's individualizing, pinpointing exactly where the student is and making sure we meet them right where they are for academics. But other than that, I really don't think it's going to be any more challenging than what we have experienced. And we showed in Crosby ISD that we can make it happen. We can make it happen.
Okay. So, excuse me. What's the best way that parents can help you guys this year?
So I'm big in literacy. So whenever we talk parents and students and education, I'm always going to go to reading. And the single most helpful thing parents can do is make sure kids read every evening. And that's kind of an easy one, you know? So when mom is cooking, child can be reading out loud while mom is cooking. Now, mom can be multitasking and can be thinking about something completely different, but that child is reading out loud, right? So my number one would be making sure your children read each night. Also, I would say for this coming year, help the students cope with returning to school and feeling comfortable doing so. For some students who chose remote all year long, they haven't been in a building in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's help have those conversations with them of what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to sound like, how you're going to have an awesome opportunity. And we're going back to what our normal used to be. And also knowing that we're all in this together. We're so much better together, that we are a team working to provide the best educational opportunity and experiences for their children.
That's excuse me. That's outstanding. So we have a segment that we play on here. It's called "Would You Rather." So I'm gonna ask you a couple of "Would You Rather" questions. All right.
Okay.
They're very easy. Would you rather have more time or more money?
More time.
More time. Would you rather meet your great grandparents or your great grandchildren?
Oh, my great grandchildren.
Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. Would you rather have a life rewind button or a life pause button?
That's a good one. I would say pause.
The pause. All right. Would you rather go to dinner alone or to a concert alone?
Dinner.
Dinner. All right.
Because it's quiet. It's quieter than a concert. I love peace and quiet.
Okay. Would you rather be a pirate or a ninja?
Pirate.
A pirate. All right. A couple more here. Would you rather have free gas for 25 years or have your dream car?
Free gas. I'm not a car person.
Okay. All right. And last one. Would you rather have $1 million in Amazon gift cards or $100,000 in real money?
Real money, because I can use it at Amazon or anywhere else.
Yes. So thank you for playing that round of Would You Rather. Yeah, that question is always gets guessed, and everybody loves to see that Amazon smile box come to the door, right? So I'm thinking, give me the $1 million and because I'm gonna spend it on Amazon anyway.
I know.
Right. So students, parents, and employees get nervous when there's newness, right? And especially if there's a new superintendent. So what message would you like to tell them about your leadership style?
I'm a servant leader. I'm here to serve students, to serve parents, to serve teachers, staff members, our leaders, and our communities. I am fair, and I truly make decisions by determining what is in the best interest of our students. Now, that may not always be the decision you would want me to make, but that decision is made based on what is best for our kids.
Awesome. Great message. So growth has to be intentional. And so what do you do for personal and professional growth and development?
So professional growth, I read a lot of books. I engage in professional learning networks on Twitter. Twitter is entertainment, but I learn so much from the educators that I follow and see on there. I also participate in educational organizations. One of my mentors says iron sharpens iron. So we all make each other sharper and better. Mm-hmm. And so that's professionally. Personally, there's no other way for me to answer this than honestly, and that is through Jesus Christ. I mean, I have a daily morning routine of prayer, reading my Bible, meditating, and truly reflecting on what God has called me to be. And the areas where I don't measure up, then I ask for help to get better and to strengthen in those areas. And so, I mean, that's really how I grow personally.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to grow personally, right? I'm an ordained minister, so I love it. So what advice would you give to an emerging leader? when they're looking for leadership opportunities or ways to fulfill their professional toolbox?
So I'm going to tell you the number one piece of advice I would give to anybody looking to move up is to be exceptional where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So teacher looking to move up, be an exceptional teacher. Also think about your classroom as that is your area of leadership. I'll tell you a story. When I was a teacher and I was working on my mid-management, that's the degree and certification in Texas to be a assistant principal and principal. And I started thinking differently. I started thinking like, okay, I'm a teacher, but let me try some things out with my little 22 kids and my 44 parents. So open house night, we all want our parents to come out to open house to see what's going on and how we're, doing in the classroom. And I decided I'm going to try and see if I send a really nice, sweet invitation instead of open house, come to open house. It was an invitation. And I'm almost certain I had the kids write it. So it's from the student inviting the parent to come and see what I do, all day, every day. And then I also added some food to see, does that also help? And I had almost 100% participation.
Oh.
And so kind of rethinking, you may not be, you haven't reached the next level that you want to be at, but what are the skills needed for that next level, and use those skills where you are. And that's how you hone those skills. And then you're ready when you move up.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And for a lot of different reasons, but, a lot of times it happens. And when I was in corporate, it happened that way as well. We are so busy trying to climb. We forget to be great at where we are. And we're looking over that wall at that next big thing over there. And I remember as I was coming up through the ranks, one of my leaders said, "Hey, Cedrick, there's an opportunity that they want you to go and take over here. But I would tell you, stay where you are right now so that you can become so good at this. And when you do, that opportunity is going to come right back at you anyway."
Yes.
And yeah, I absolutely love that, that advice. So what do you want Crosby ISD residents to know about school safety for this year? Because, that was a big concern, for a lot of parents, right? So what do you want them to know about school safety?
So I want them to know that keeping their students safe is our number one priority. And I want Crosby ISD to know from Paula Patterson, the superintendent of schools, is that I will work to protect your students and your children just as if they were Trey and Jeremiah Patterson. So just as I would want my own sons to be safe and make sure that they are well protected, I will do that for all 6,000 of my new Crosby ISD students.
Awesome. Outstanding. So mentorship, everybody at some point in their life needs a mentor or multiple mentors, right? So the first question is, do you have a mentor?
I do.
Okay. All right. And how has that mentor impacted you, impacted your professional journey?
So I consider myself to be blessed enough to have three superintendents who have really kind of undergirded me. Two of them came along in spring of this year. And one in particular has kind of been along for the ride for about 10 years. Okay. And I'm going to say his name because I want to honor him every opportunity I get. And that's Dr. King Davis. He was my superintendent in Sheldon ISD before I came to Crosby. He told me a couple of years ago that I was going to be the superintendent in Crosby ISD. I was going to be the next superintendent in Crosby ISD. And I politely told him, no, I was not. And he put me in places and gave me experiences to prepare me for where I said I was not going. And I can say, I've only been sitting in this seat for 3 months, but I can say that nothing has come to this office that has rocked me, or I didn't know what to do, or I wasn't aware of it. So it may have been things that I didn't personally deal with in my time with him, but I was aware of it and I knew how he handled it. And so I'm really thankful for those opportunities that he afforded me. And I'm reaping that now. And he continues to be a mentor. And I really appreciate his mentorship. And then I have two women who have really, like I said, undergirded me and helped me along the way. So I'm truly blessed. I am.
Wow. Well, having great mentors in your life it means a lot in most cases, because it helps you maybe even think about things that you hadn't thought about, right? Consider things that you hadn't even considered. That's awesome. So I want to ask a follow-up question on this. Just came to mind. So let's say we fast forward 10 years from now, 10 years forward. All right. You're 24. Okay.
Okay.
We fast forward 10 years and you're looking back. What things have you accomplished now in Crosby?
We have quite the story to tell. I walked into a district that was trying to get the equilibrium after some very troubling times in the district, and then COVID on top of that. We've had a rough, I would say, 5 years, and then COVID hit. But we are right on the verge of greatness, and remembering who we are, remembering that we're all family and that we do love each other and that we do want the very best for each other, is how we are going to take this district to the next level. Remember, I said earlier, it's not me. I can't do it single-handedly.
Right.
So the story that we're going to tell in 10 years is how a little old community came together, beat the odds, and to look at where we were and where we will be in 10 years, it's going to be quite the story to tell.
That is, I love that, what you just said. And what popped in my head is the story of Mount Everest, right? When you wake up in the morning, you can't just say, I'm going and climb Mount Everest. Well, the Sherpa took these climbers on a climb to Mount Everest. And as they got partway up there, they ran into the storm and they had to go back down. Now, everyone was disappointed because there's a lot of work. It's a lot of money, a lot of effort, time, and all these things to go into this. Well, at the end of the day, they had dinner in a lodge that night before they go home. And obviously it was a somber mood. However, the Sherpa stood up and he looked at the wall, and the wall had a big picture of Mount Everest on it. And here's what he said. And it reminded me of this when you said what you said about Crosby. He said, Mount Everest, you defeated us today. You beat us. But Mount Everest, I want to tell you, we're coming back next year and we're going to defeat you. And you know why, Mount Everest? Because today you are as big as you're ever going to be. But you see, the people that's behind me, they can get bigger, they can get faster, they can get stronger. And we're going to come back next year and we're going to climb you, Mount Everest. And it just reminded me of that when you said that about Crosby. So beautiful. Awesome. So, we've all had wonderful experiences, and you had a lot of success in your life as well. But we've also had times where we failed or maybe didn't reach the goal that we wanted to reach. So tell us about a time that you had a failure, and what did it teach you, what you learned from that?
So this may not be exactly what you're asking, but I'm going to answer it because it was a big lesson in education for me. And it was when I was a teacher and I failed a student. Failed in that we were walking to electives, and all teachers know when you're going to electives, you're trying to drop those kids off so you can start your break. So the only thing that was on my mind was starting my break, my conference time, which is a good, depending on school, 50, 55, 45 minutes of no time with kids. And there was a little boy who was like, Miss Patterson, so-and-so won't leave me alone. And I was like, oh, and I ignored him. Took them to the elective class, dropped them off. And then by the time I don't know if I'd made some stops along the way, but at some point during that break time, I went through the office to check my mailbox. And I saw my little student in the principal's office because he hit a student.
Uh-oh.
And immediately I knew I failed him. I did not protect him. And so he took matters into his own hands. And at that point, I knew that's on me. And as a teacher, and I was young in teaching, I went to the principal's office and I told the principal, this is on me. He tried to tell me and I didn't do anything. I think he was on the phone with the parent at that time. And I was like, I don't think he should have a consequence. He did what he was supposed to do, and his teacher didn't do what she was supposed to do. And what I learned from that lesson, you're never too busy to hear your students.
Yeah.
You're never too busy to hear what they have to say. No break is more important than hearing our students, because they have needs. And I mean, and it could be, it could be seen as a minor thing, but it has really stuck with me. I still know his name. I won't say it, but I still know his name, because that was a lesson that, it taught me a great lesson in that always have time to stop and hear your kids.
That is like the perfect, I love that. Always have time for that student. Always have time. If you're the principal, always have time for that teacher, because they might be struggling and they may need your help. Just that one little intimate amount of time could make a big difference in the rest of their day, in the rest of their week, and the rest of their life. So that's, I love that. So, I always tell people that when new principals come, new superintendents come, maybe it's a new leader in corporate America, it brings about an opportunity for change or newness or something different, right? So I know that there's probably a lot that you're excited about this school year. And I'm always excited about things that are happening in school districts. So how can people follow what's happening new in Crosby ISD?
So today was the first day for my new director of communications and community relations, and his job is to get our story out there. And so our social media platforms are about to blow up. So watch Twitter, watch Facebook, watch Instagram, watch TikTok, because we also want to grab our students. Many times we think about, how do we communicate with our parents? Who are our clients?
Right.
Who are our customers? It's our students, right? And don't I want my students to absolutely love their district? So we're coming to a TikTok near you. So we're going to be everywhere. Also, of course, the district website, but the social media platforms are like the thing, because you just can get so much information on those platforms. So we're about to take over social media.
Okay, all right, TikTok. You guys are about to do it. All right, so I'm gonna have to put that on my thing to follow and see what type of videos you guys are putting out there. All of a sudden, it's gonna be the school challenges.
I probably should not have said it, because now somebody's gonna go and try to do it before us. But Crosby ISD was thinking about it first.
Absolutely. We're going to make sure that we put this in the Chronicle. Crosby said it first.
There you go.
Two questions I have for you, two final questions I have for you. The first one is, no one's home. Even the dog and the cat and the fish, they also took a break. It's just you. Okay. What dessert are you going to eat?
Oh, strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake. Okay. That's always a good dessert. If there was a book that was written about you, what would the title be? And what would the summary in the back of the book say about you?
Whew, that's a good question. And that is so thought-provoking. So I would have to say, just because I am who I am, and I can't put on fronts of anything else, the title would be The Yes, Lord Journey. That has been my entire life. Wherever I feel like I am being led is where I go. And I guess the back would kind of be, the story of a young woman from a small town who became an agent of change and forward thinker, who also valued tradition She was an inspiration from the classroom to the boardroom, a true champion of children, and a creator of inclusive and uplifting culture. She broke through the glass ceiling and achieved success in her hometown.
Wow. That would be an awesome book. I like that. The Yes Lord Journey. I absolutely.
Another one that I probably shouldn't have shared because somebody's going to go and take it.
Well, my question is to you. See, my background is in addition to I'm a clinical scientist by certification, but I'm a sales guy as well. So when is the book coming out?
First, I have to write it. And first, I have to calm down things here so that I have time to do that. So we'll say in 10 years, right? When we look back.
Okay. All right. That's a deal. I'll put that down on my reminders list. So any parting words you want to give the audience? First of all, before you do that, I want to say thank you for agreeing to come on Talk Leadership with Cedrick. I know that you have plenty of other things to do besides coming on a talk show or a person that you don't even know. So I want to thank you for accepting the invitation.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I love talking shop. I love talking leadership, and I absolutely love talking about Crosby ISD. So thank you for having me on. Parting words, I would just say to Crosby ISD that I am looking so forward to working with everybody to make our district the premier district that I know it can be. I love Crosby ISD. I truly bleed red, a different color red than everybody else. It's the Crosby red. And so I am here to serve. I am here to make sure our kids have a top-notch education and are equipped to go out into the world and do phenomenal things. So I love Crosby ISD. I love education. And Crosby ISD, thank you for having me.
Wow. That is phenomenal, folks. You see, leaders make a difference in the world. And tonight you've heard from another outstanding leader who is about to make an impact on Crosby ISD. But more importantly, she's about to make an impact in the lives of some young people who are going to help shape the rest of our world. And that's extremely important. And, John Maxwell always says, everything rises and falls on leadership, and leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, right? And we absolutely love that. So I'm excited that you're on the show tonight. So folks, remember, Talk Leadership with Cedrick is on Monday nights, but we're also on Tuesday nights. And tomorrow night, we'll have another dynamic leader from the education sector. We'll have Dr. Valise Davis on at 5:30 Central Time. So make sure whatever you're doing, drop it and tune in. Then at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, tune in to our Empowered Living channel, where the Black Entrepreneurs Institute, we have another dynamic entrepreneur guest that's going to be on the show. Then at 5:30 on Thursday, Talk Leadership with Cedrick Thursday edition, we will have a superintendent from New York, Executive Superintendent Karen Watts will be on the show. And then Friday morning at 8:30, we're going to bring the pain, 8:30 Central Time, Friday mental motivation. It's about 15 minutes of bringing you inspiration, motivation, and encouragement to help you finish your week strong and start out with a great weekend. Make sure you always remember, folks, as I tell you every week, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and don't be on the menu. Thank you guys, and good night.